Boom, y'all boys. Welcome. Y'all made it to day 2. Today we're going to be talking about market structure. Oh, I didn't even do my YouTube. YouTube is your favorite guru from Temu. And today we're going to be talking about market structure, right? This probably is going to be a pretty lengthy video. I have already had a video talk about market structure, but this one we're going to go a little quicker, go over a little bit more details and stuff like that. So make sure y'all got y'all notepads. Make sure y'all have the charts pulled up on the side and trying to actually understand what I'm saying. Make sure y'all trying to study for this whole little text lesson or whatever. Like I said, I'm going to be posting 7 days in a row. If you're watching this in the future or anything, it's gonna be a playlist. You should just be able to watch that playlist. It's a whole 7-day free course of you just learning, or me teaching you how to actually start trading. So yeah, and today we're talking about market structure. Now you're probably like, why do we need to talk about market structure? What is market structure, right? Now this is the most important thing of trading, right? So market structure would be trends, right? An uptrend, you're gonna learn how to identify trends, knowing that the trend is going up or down. Breaker structures, you probably don't know what that is, so I'm gonna show y'all later on in this video. And changing the states of delivery, right? We might dabble into a little bit of liquidity, but I'm going to be showing you how the market moves and why the market moves how it moves, if that makes sense. I don't know, but yeah, this is when I first started trading. This was the main thing that I stuck to. Like, if you do, and that's why I got it on day 2, because if you do not know how the market moves, or you don't understand market structure, you will not be decent at trading. You have to have this in order for you to get a gist of it, because once you get this understanding, of market structure or whatever it may be, then you will actually start becoming a decent day trader, or you will actually understand what is going on inside of the chart, so you're not just looking confused. So you can, you don't need to learn about the fair value gaps and all that different type of stuff. If you know market structure, you can learn support and resistance, and hey, gang, you might be cool. But yeah, enough rambling and yapping. Let's go ahead and get to it. Alrighty, boys. So first off, when you're going over market structure, there are like 3 things that you need to know. First, you need to know trends, which trends are very, very simple. All you need to identify is, higher high up here, higher low, higher high, higher low. And then for sell side, you need to identify lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, like this, right? So this is initial world, I don't know what I just did, but this is initially what you need to be looking for. You need because the market typically moves in a staircase pattern on the higher time frame, right? Mind you, I say the higher time frame, and I'm gonna explain what I mean for that. On the higher time frame, you will see the market moving in a staircase pattern, like we're going up, going down, going up. It's going to be very structured, right? That's where we get the name market structure. And the same thing for sales. We're going up, going down, going up, and going down, right? Now, okay, boom, y'all like, this easy. I can do that with my eyes closed. I can peep out the trend. Very simple, and that's the first good step. Now you need to look for buy side and sell side liquidity, right? And what I mean by that, if you don't know, like I said, I'm gonna make a video on liquidity very, very soon. But liquidity, you can look at liquidity as a magnet, or somewhere where we want to sweep, right? Or where orders were generated, right? So as we can see, if we look over here, we're going creating higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher. We're going in the uptrend, right? Every single time we went up higher, or we came back, we pulled back and we took out a form of liquidity. This was our last low, and this low right here would be liquidity for us, right? This was our last low right here. This low would be liquidity for us. We tapped into a fair value gap. More than likely on the lower time frame, we had a form of liquidity somewhere that we took out, right? Right here, this was our last low. We took out this liquidity right here, right? Now, going over that, this is called manipulation, right? We're sweeping liquidity, grabbing orders, and going back up, right? So this is what y'all need to be looking for, and I'm gonna draw it out so it looks simpler. Now, the market typically, another way you can look at the market moving is this is going to be our accumulation phase. This is called the power 3, where we accumulate like this, and accumulation is just the market just not really moving anywhere. We're just chopping, generating liquidity, basically creating equal highs and equal lows, right? So something like this. This is our liquidity right here, right? And then we have a sweep of liquidity where I was showing y'all where we sweep down below these lows right here. And then what do? Continue upwards, right? And this is where you would enter in on your breaker structure, or you're changing the state of delivery, or your pullback, which we're going to be talking about later on, right? And how we tie this in with the trends is we want to be making sure that we're in the uptrend. If we want to get in for buys, say our bias is bullish, we want to make sure that we previously have been chopping or been going upwards, right? So right here, for example, how we've been previously going up in the up direction, right? We have a breaker structure, right? Well, we break structure right here. Breaker structure, you can look at the last two down closing candles. You can look at the last green candle that was put out before the market started pushing down. You can however you want to look at it. I typically look at the last green candle that was put in before the market started moving up like this. Another good way is the last two down closing candles like this, right? So once we see this, this would be our breaker structure right here. And when we get up here, this would be our change in the state of delivery. Why? Because we were previously going on a downtrend, right? Which this was just really a pullback. But we was previously putting out a minor downtrend. And when we got up here, we then proceeded to change in the state of delivery or change the trend of the market, right? So the extreme highs, you can look at those as the change in the state, because now we're changing the state of delivery, which is be in the uptrend. And these little highs right here, like you can look at this as a breaker structure, or you can look at this one as a breaker structure as well, right? And we're going to get some clearer examples, because you typically don't mark out your breaker structures or changing the state of deliveries on a higher time frame. I'm just doing that for you right now, right? But going back to this example where we're showing you where we accumulated, manipulated, and distributed, which is the power of 3, we can look over here at our examples. We accumulated, manipulated, distributed, right? So accumulation right here, manipulation at these lows, and then distribution higher. The same thing. Accumulation right here, we accumulated, manipulated lower, and then we distributed higher. You know what I'm saying? Accumulated, swept out these lows right here. So we accumulated, came through, took out all of this sell side liquidity, manipulated higher, right? Now we go into this example right here, right? Where we can see on the higher time frame, because we're still on the higher time frame, right? On the higher time frame, we were accumulating right here, or we've been accumulating. We manipulated, which was taking out this low right here. Manipulated, and now we're going upwards, right? We breaking structure, or whatever you want to call it. So now let's go to the lower time frame so you can get a clearer idea of this, right? So looking at this, we have our accumulation error right here. Accumulation error right here, where we accumulated, we ended up taking out sell side liquidity right here as well. Let's just draw this out. Sell side liquidity was taken out, so let's change that. Sell side liquidity gets taken out, we sweep. Now we want to, this is on a 30-minute time frame, because typically you will want to be looking for large wicks like this on a semi higher time frame, like the 15 to the 30 minutes. And then you want to go to the lower time frame to actually start getting your entries, right? So now that we see we're holding this 30-minute fair value gap as well, which we're going to break that down in a lower video, holding this 30-minute fair value gap. But this fair value gap tells me that we're just holding bullish price action, right? Sellers are not taking control yet. We just put in a higher high right here, right? So more than likely we will go up to take that high. That's one thing you want to understand, is if we put in a higher high like this, more than likely we're going to be going back up to revisit that high and take it again. We just have to wait for the sweep of liquidity, right? So where we took out these lows and stuff like that, and buying pressure to come back in, right? So let's go to the lower time frame, like the 5-minute. As we can see, we haven't taken it yet because this is replay mode. So let's watch us tap into it. Boom, we take it, right? Now we want to wait for a breaker structure, right, on the 5-minute or the 1 minute. Let's see if we can get a clearer breaker structure on the 1 minute. We're right here, right here on the 1 minute. We haven't really closed the baby very strongly yet, so we want to wait for a strong close, breaker structure. All right. I don't know if this crooked. It seems crooked to me, but it might not be. All right, but yeah, we want to wait for a strong close above this high right here, and we can enter in for buys, right? We can enter in for buys. Like I said, the previous green candle, it don't have to be this. It can be the last two down closing candles. This could have been your breaker structure right here as well. Yeah, you could have did it any type of way. I just like this one better, and I want to see a good confirmation of us actually pushing up higher, right? So we had our previous accumulation all the way over here. We accumulated. This was all our accumulation. Now we're manipulating, and more than likely we're going to be coming and trying to take these highs again, right? So let's see, wait for us to get this strong close up. Boom, that's our strong close up right there. We can enter in for buys right here. Where would our next target be? At our next form of liquidity, or which would be our next high, right? So this would be our next high right here. We can wait for that and let that bad boy play out. And just like that, TP hit just like that, man. You get what I'm saying? Where we entering in that? Right here. We entered in right there. You could have had your stop all the way down here. You could have had your stop at the previous candle. TP right here. Nice 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And just like that, you just call it a green trade. That's just that simple. And all you have to do is break down it being, you know, chopping up, right? Going up to the higher time frame. Go from the higher time frame. Let's see. Okay, we have our previous chop. We seen over here that we came down, took out liquidity over here as well, took this liquidity out, and we started pushing up higher. You could say broke structure if you want to call it that. It don't matter. But we then come back down, sweep liquidity, and this would be our real breaker structure right here, right? This tells me that buyers do not want to continue down lower, right? Because if we wanted to, we would have came back down. We would have kept going down right here, especially because we had immense selling pressure right here, right? And like what I mean by the immense, we had a huge selling candle right here, but we did not break through. I mean, we did not continue down lower once we tapped into it. Yeah, we did a little bit, but we didn't fully just go back down when we got to this low right here. So this would be a sweep of liquidity or our manipulation. We got the breaker structure. Now we just waited for the pullback, and that's how we call buys. It's really that simple. Breaking everything back down is sweep of liquidity. You want to wait for a sweep of liquidity, breaker structure, and where have we been making higher highs and higher lows? That's how you tie this in together. Now let's try to find a selling pressure example so y'all boys can get both in. Let's get into it. All right, now we can look at this and we can already tell that, okay, what we was talking about previously, we see we could, you know, we see we got this sweep of liquidity and we seem to be pushing up, which a quick buy right here would have made sense. But what I want y'all boys to understand and to see is that this low over here was previously taken. So what does that mean? This will be our breaker structure right here. This tells me, oh, we broke structure right here. And what did it, how did, my bad, I stuttered. But how strongly did we break through it? We broke through this very strongly, right? Even though we came through these lows and tap, we're gonna have chops like this. This is on the 4 hour. We're gonna have chops like this, but we broke through this very strongly, right? Very, very strongly, right? And this was our previous, you know, this would be my breaker structure, in my opinion. Breaker structure right there. Take that out. Now I want to go down to the lower time frame and see if I can find a sell result, right? Main thing, we are creating lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Man, that's what you want to look for. See if we're actually creating that trend. Now we go to the lower time frame, the 15-minute, right? Now, what do I see? I see previous high right here. Let's see if we can take this out. But I do see chop. We do seem to be chopped right now in this area. Let's not make this that big. Hold on. I got settings. Where the style at? Extend right. We want to take that off. Boom. Right. We got our previous chop session right here. Right, we got this high. We can see if this high gets taken, and then we can get a breaker structure on the lower time frame. Right. Let's see if we get this high taken. Yep, that high gets taken. Now let's see if we can proceed to push back down through this low, entering in this range and continuing back down lower. Right. Chopped up there for a little bit. This is Asia session, so yeah, we chopped. Now we just got our pull back down. Right now we want to wait and see. This, you can look at this as a breaker structure, but typically here I'll wait for a pullback into this range up here, like a fair value gap or something like this. before I enter, so I just don't be entering randomly. But we do seem to be bearish again right here. We just took out liquidity over here, took out liquidity. Now we're entering back into this range. Boom, we get our pullback right here. That'll be our pullback. Go back in time, and now we want to wait and see. Here go our down close candle right here. Wait and see if we can break this structure and continue down lower. Oh, I thought we was getting it at this next candle. Boom, we get it right there. Let's enter in for sales right there and let that bad boy ride, probably down to this low, right? Something like that. TP like that. And just like that, we rolled off, right? And it's that simple by breaking it down, going from the higher time frame, right? Higher time frame, waiting for that sweep of liquidity, then getting that breaker structure and getting the confirmation again. You feel me? So this time I waited for the confirmation. Last time I waited for the confirmation, I believe. I don't know if I did or not. I can't really remember. But yeah, it's very simple. And your next target will be the next form of liquidity, which will be, you know, these lows right here. I talked about liquidity a lot, so I'm definitely going to be making a video on liquidity. But the main thing I want you guys to understand is when you're looking for a trade like these, right? When you're taking good trades like these, they have to make sense, right? So, and how do they make sense is by you breaking it down. That is why market structure is so important. So when you look on the trend, look at the higher time frame like we did today. Look at the higher time frame, see what we have been doing. Have we been climbing up, or have we broke any structures or anything, or changing the state of delivery? And okay, if we see that sellers are winning, you should be taking sales, right? You can take buys in a downtrend because you have pullbacks and stuff like that. But initially, you should be taking sales because that's who is winning right there. You want to find the winning ball game and roll with them, right? Going back over this, if we're in an uptrend, we typically go up like this. Up like this, boom, bam, boom, bam, and then boom, right? Go on the uptrend like that, and then okay, we have our pullbacks, and each one of these pullbacks on a lower time frame usually be chop, right? We get our chop, then we get this sweep right here. This would be our sweep of liquidity, right? This box down here, this would be our sweep of liquidity. Then we distribute up, right? Same thing, chop. Sweep of liquidity right here in this box, and then we push right back up. Same thing, so on and so forth. For the same thing, we get our chop, wait for the sweep, enter in at the breaker structure or the pullback. It's that simple. And I don't know if I really talked about the pullbacks. I think it's because it's like self-explanatory. A pullback is once we pull back into the market, right? This was a pullback. This was a pullback. This was a pullback. Right, and the pullbacks look like we're going to be changing, but remember, changing this, breaking the structure, we want to see it come like up here at least before we break structure, because we ended up taking out liquidity right here, right? So why didn't I take buys right here? Because we didn't have like buying pressure come back in. I wanted to see us at least come back up here, and then I can look for a pullback. But we didn't get that all the way up here, right? We just came to right here in the middle of this fair value gap, and then started to push back down lower, right? So be mindful of those things. Wait for it, right? Like right here, we came through once we took out this liquidity right here. Once we took out this liquidity, we ended up coming back up here and taking out this high. Oops, no. Taking out this high right here, right? Took that high out, and probably on the lower time frame, we go over here. Yeah, on the lower time frame, you can see we actually pushed back to it, and we got a little choppy, and we came back to this this order block right here, and continued to go up higher than that. All right, very, very freaking simple, man. Stop making trading hard. Well, y'all don't know what trading really is, so I can't say stop making it hard, but this is how you look at the market, how I look at market structure, how I break everything down. So please, practice this. Like I said, have your notes up, be breaking this stuff down, going over this different type of stuff, going over this just, and don't make it hard, right? Keep back testing, keep studying. Be here for day 3. God loves y'all, man. I'll catch y'all in another video. Peace out. All right.